Today's update takes us to Shanghai, where one of the strongest storms in the city's modern history has forced daily life to a standstill. Typhoon Bebinca, now officially recorded as the most powerful typhoon to strike Shanghai in 75 years, arrived with wind speeds strong enough to shut down transportation, disrupt critical services, and push more than 400,000 residents out of harm's way. Let's walk through what happened, what authorities are doing, and how people across the city are coping with a storm of this scale. What happened and where the storm hit? Bebinca made landfall on Monday in the Lingang area of Pudong, a coastal zone on the eastern edge of Shanghai. This is where the storm's center struck with its highest force. Meteorologists reported peak winds of roughly 42 meters per second near the core. For a city of more than 25 million people, those numbers are alarming. They're strong enough to cripple large infrastructure, uproot trees, fracture glass panels on high-rises, and put anyone outdoors in danger. As the storm system moved inland, it quickly became clear that life in Shanghai would not continue as normal. What is usually one of the busiest cities in the world suddenly fell quiet. Streets emptied, public transportation stopped, businesses shut their doors, and residents were asked to stay home unless absolutely necessary. Emergency measures and government response. Even before the storm arrived, officials across eastern China had been closely monitoring Bebinca. On Sunday, national authorities raised emergency alerts in multiple provinces. Anhui activated a Level 4 emergency response, while Shanghai and the neighboring Zhejiang province were moved to Level 3. These classifications help coordinate rescue teams, deliver resources, and ensure that local governments can respond quickly as conditions worsen. Shanghai didn't wait for landfall to take action. The city mobilized thousands of emergency workers, including firefighters, medical teams, and volunteers trained in flood and storm response. Their job was simple but critical: prepare shelters, guide residents to safety, and respond to calls for help once the typhoon arrived. One of the largest challenges was relocation. By Sunday night, more than 414,000 people had been moved into safer areas. This mass relocation was necessary because parts of the city are low-lying and highly vulnerable to storm surge. Officials also shut down every major highway leading in and out of Shanghai. They wanted to prevent accidents and keep the roads clear for emergency vehicles. Transport shutdowns and travel disruptions. Travel across the city came to a complete halt. Both of Shanghai's major airports, Pudong and Hongqiao, canceled all flights starting at 8 p.m. on Sunday. This affected tens of thousands of travelers, many of whom were already inside the terminals. Airport operators prepared temporary rest areas, kept food vendors open through the night, and worked to make sure stranded passengers had what they needed. Ferry operations along the coast were also suspended, especially in areas like Fengshan, where strong waves made the waterfront too dangerous. Bus services in these districts stopped as well, leaving only emergency vehicles on the streets. Train operations were heavily impacted. Shanghai Railway Station announced that several passenger routes passing through the city would be suspended from Sunday into Monday. This caused widespread disruption, but it was necessary to avoid accidents on tracks exposed to high winds or flooding. For a city that normally sees millions of people on the move each day, this kind of shutdown is rare. But with the typhoon's intensity, safety took priority over mobility. Impact on daily life. The storm didn't just disrupt travel, It reshaped daily routines across the megacity. Schools closed. Office buildings activated emergency protocols. Families sheltered at home or in assigned community centers. Grocery stores experienced long lines as people stocked up on essentials ahead of the storm's arrival. Scenes from across Shanghai showed a city preparing as best it could. Workers boarding up windows, cranes lowered to prevent collapse, and low-lying neighborhood drains being cleared to reduce flooding. Although Bebinca brought fierce winds, residents were also worried about flooding. Shanghai's location on the Yangtze River Delta makes it especially vulnerable when a typhoon pulls seawater inland. High waves and storm surge can quickly overwhelm drainage systems. By Sunday evening, engineers were monitoring water levels around the clock. Authorities also encouraged people to avoid riverbanks, underground passages, and construction sites, areas most likely to become dangerous during peak winds. Human side of the story. Behind every major storm are stories of people doing their best to take care of one another. Community volunteers played a huge role throughout Sunday night and Monday morning. Many helped elderly residents move to shelters. Others assisted airport passengers who suddenly found themselves unable to travel. And in several districts, neighborhood committees delivered drinking water, blankets, and emergency supplies to families taking shelter in schools and public halls. One volunteer described helping relocate residents from an older housing block in Pudong. Some were unable to walk without support, and others needed help carrying medication or oxygen equipment. When we have a storm like this, she said, everyone becomes responsible for each other. The goal is simple: make sure we don't lose a single life. Airport workers too stepped up to help stranded passengers. Staff explained the situation calmly, guided travelers to rest stations, and ensured food counters stayed open late into the night. Many passengers appreciated the effort, saying it made an otherwise stressful situation much easier to handle. This willingness to help, especially during extreme weather, reflects the resilience that often defines large, densely populated cities. Why this storm matters. Typhoon Bebinca is the 13th typhoon to hit China this year, but it stands out because of its intensity and the size of the population in its path. A direct hit on a city as large as Shanghai is rare. Most storms lose strength before reaching this far north, or they veer westward into smaller coastal areas. Meteorologists say the last time Shanghai saw a storm this strong was more than 7 decades ago. That makes Bebinca a historic event, and one that will shape future storm preparedness. Climate scientists have noted that intense typhoons in the Western Pacific have become more frequent in recent decades. Warmer ocean temperatures can help storms gather strength more quickly. While it's too early to link this specific storm dire,